Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. Been working, trying to square up the rails for the forklift mast, and I think I've got them pretty well set up here. So I'm going to tack these connectors. Decided on a 12-inch mast width, and I think that'll fit best with the on the back of the tractor. So I'm going to put some of these cross braces on here at the bottom. This will be the bottom of the mast, and I'm only clamping the one at the top of the mast. The actual brace will be on the back of the mast. So I'm going to get a little bit further along here so that I can then fit the rails inside, space them properly, and fasten them together. All right, so these are plates for the top of the runner, carriage runner assembly. Alright, so that's the carriage runner. It's got just a little bit of play. And it rolls easily. Alright, I'm just going to leave it tacked like this for the time being. Next step is going to be to build up the carriage back on the back of this. Alright, and I'm also going to work on the bottom of the mast. So I'm going to cut out some parts for this. I'm going to cut out the bottom plate and then the bracket that's going to hold the pins which will support the bottom of the mast. I just tacked on this bottom plate, so this will hold the base of the hydraulic cylinder. At least that's my expectation at this point in time, behind the mast. So this is behind the mast. Got the mast turned over, so this is the back side up. I'm going to go ahead and tack a couple more cross supports here. This is all 3.5 by 1/4 inch flat stock, cut to length. Here I'm using the existing part, the part I just cut, to, you know, to find out the most efficient way to cut this part again. If I, you know, do it anywhere here, I waste. If I put it up here, I can fit it and leave me a little bit more. I do need to make sure that this is square to the table, and I measure it to the edge of the front edge of the table here. And that looks pretty close. 15 1/4, 15 1/4, close enough. All right, I'm going to establish my work 0 over here. Then I'll go back into fire control, rotate the part 90 degrees. Okay, set my program origin up in this corner, 0 all the axes. And I should be ready to start. Turning on my plasma cam. Alright, we go back down here and hit start. Well, I miscalculated. I set my origin too far from that edge, so I went off the edge there. Alright, I'm going to try with another piece of metal on top of here to bridge the gap, so I can start it at this point. I figured out how to start the program at this point. It'll cut through this 1/8 inch piece and then carry on over here through the 3/8 inch piece. So we'll see if this works. I'm trying to salvage this piece because in my attempts to save material, I misjudged the origin and went off the edge of the material, which stops the program. And I can't pick it up in the middle of that line, at least I don't know how to. I can only pick it up where it changes direction. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is get it to start here and come over here, bridge that gap hopefully, and then carry on. I may have to finish it up with a die grinder or something, so, or with a cutoff wheel. Let's see if I can get this to work. Well, I think it kind of worked. I'll have to take this over to the table and cut that. Okay, so I was able to salvage this part, even though it has a notch in it here. It's not in a critical spot. I'll grind this smooth here. We'll still be able to use this. Alright, so these two parts are going to go on the side of the bottom of the mast and have a hole here for a pin which will support the mast. A 1-inch pin. I mean, they're way overbuilt, so this isn't going to make any difference. The location of this hole is not really critical at all, as long as there's enough meat around it, enough metal around it to support the weight of the mast. And since this is the bottom, and all the weight will be on this segment here, so that's why I've favored the bottom. We're going to drill a 1-inch hole. I'm actually going to go through with a small drill first, and then we'll come back. I'll separate the two plates. I've got a piece of copper wiring here to take up any variation in the dimensions on these plates, so they're both pressed against the rear jaw. But we'll go through with like a 1/4-inch drill first, then we'll separate the plates and come back and drill both the holes to 1 inch. I'm checking the alignment of this shaft to the mast itself. So I'm running diagonals from the center of the mast to the end of each of these two ends. Let me make sure. One from the center of the mast, and I'm getting 88 inches to the center line of it there, and pretty close to 88 inches at the center line there. So I would say at this point the support shaft is perpendicular to the mast. Put a couple tack welds on it. How we doing? You good puppies? You my good boys? My good puppies. Ooh, ooh. Sorry. What happened? What happened? Oh, sorry. What happened? Sit. Couple of characters. I'm waiting for my hydraulic cylinder and other parts to come, my set of forks, and so the hydraulic cylinder will sit back here, the base of it, and I think it will be fat. I'll probably fasten the top of it to here. It'll come just above this level. These two braces will come off. They're just temporary because in order to clear the top of the cylinder, these will have to come up, over, and then back down. So they'll need to be spaced about at least 4 inches, away from these rails. And so that's to give clearance for the top, the cylinder rod to come up, within the behind the mast, so that it, can lift the carriage. So I think this one is likely to stay, but these other two will come off and be replaced with a different arrangement. I'll work on fabbing those rear standoff brackets once I get the cylinder and know what size to make them and all that stuff. I'm also waiting for a pair of forks. I ordered a pair of replacement forks, 3,000 pound 36-inch forks from Northern Tool, and I decided to do that so that it would be pretty tough to make my own forks and to be confident in their ability to handle a load. And 3,000 pounds is like the smallest, the least rated, lowest rated forks you could easily find. I mean, I didn't do an exhaustive search, but Northern Tool had dozens of different forks, replacement forks. So once I get those, I'll know how they attach. They're standard attachment brackets on the back of the forks to attach them to the carriage. So once I get them and have the dimensions, I can cut out the carriage back and start fabricating that part of the lift mechanism. The other major thing to do here with the mast, once I get the forks, I can work on the rest of the carriage. Once I get the cylinder, I can work on the back of the mast. The other major evolution is to mount the mast to the back of the tractor. And so the mast will pivot on an axle that goes through these two brackets, and that axle will be supported by a frame, the frame member, which I've mentioned before, will run along the side of the tractor, go behind this fender, along the frame, and come out at the back of the tractor. So that's really the next thing I need to start working on, is an arrangement for that support frame member. I'm gonna have to cut clearance here. As you can see, this fender is right up against the frame here. It's about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch away down here. So I'm just going to continue that line up to the top. So I'm going to cut this piece out on both sides of the frame. So I've got the mast frame blocked up here. It's blocked up 4 inches, actually 4 1/4 off the ground with a 3.5 inch 4x4 and a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. And so this, I think, is the approximate position. I'm going to push it a little bit closer. So this should be able to tilt backwards about that far, and that leaves room, I believe it leaves room for the hydraulic cylinder, which would be right here. And you need to come a little bit further out. So with the approximate position there, I've got been working with a piece of cardboard. So I've run a piece of cardboard along the frame, and I've changed its position. So I had notched it up here, I've notched it back here to go over this foot pedal, and there's a similar boss on the other side that'll have to be notched out. But this is 6 inches wide, and it comes out to the rear here and then drops down. And I've marked the location here for the pivot point. I can get this out. So as somebody else, somebody commented, this is CAD, cardboard aided design. So this will be the frame reinforcement component that will cut out of 3/8 inch steel. So drop down behind the rear axle, have a hole for the pivot point, and we'll make one for each side of the tractor. And this will be adjustable. I mean, it just slides along the rail, and once we get it cut out and mounted, we can tweak it a little bit before we fasten it to the side of the frame with a few bolts. And this will rest on top of the axle here and then drop down and support the bottom of the mast. So this is the plan, and as you can see, the mast on the back of the, approximately what it will look like on the back of the tractor. Now, as it stands, as it is right now, this mast probably weighs, I'm going to say, less than 100 pounds. I'm able to pick it up pretty easily. Maybe it's 80 pounds or something like that, 75 or 80 pounds. By the time we get the carriage on it, that's going to be another 50 pounds. And then the forks, it's hard for me to believe, but they're supposed to weigh 100 pounds each, 200 pounds. I'm surprised at the weight of the forks, but that's what the shipping weight says. So we'll see, maybe they'll be a little bit less. But that'll give me, if they weigh 200 pounds and this weighs 200 pounds, I've got 400 pounds hanging off the back of the tractor right as it is. So that changes my calculations a little bit. If you'd watched the previous episode where I did the force balance diagram, I had assumed the mast was 200 pounds and it was 12 inches behind the rear axle. I'm probably more like, yeah, I'm probably 12 inches at the pivot point where the weight load is going. I'm probably 12 inches. And it won't be 200 pounds. It'll be closer to 400 pounds. So I have to allow an extra, since that's only 12 inches behind the axle, 4 feet on the other side of the axle, I need another 50 pounds. So it's not a huge impact, but it's a little bit more than I was expecting. So anyway, that's approximately where the mast will sit. And let me just put a tape measure on it and make sure I can get it out of the out of the garage here. All right, that says 92.5 inches. I should be fine. The opening is 96. So it gives me, that's basically what I had calculated. All right, I'm going to get the mast, set it back on the sawhorses. We'll see how well this goes. Okay, so it's not totally unmanageable. It's getting a little heavy, but I think I can deal with it. I have a question. So a question is about the music on the videos. I would be interested in your feedback. I've had a couple people comment that they don't care for the music, but it's only been a few people, maybe 4 or 5 comments out of, over the course of the past 15 or 20 episodes, maybe there's been 1,000. There've been 1,000 comments, maybe not quite. Anyway, so there's a couple people that don't care for the music. Of course, it's royalty-free music, so that's all I can use without getting in trouble with YouTube. And so I'd be interested in your comments about that. So this is episode, 20? Background episode 15, 13, 14, 15. I had started reducing the volume of the music and in some cases using less, and then I had several episodes with no music. So over the past 4, 5, 6 episodes, let me know what you think. Adding music, I felt like it filled in when there was no narration, and I probably have been trying to talk less and video more. Let me know what you think. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Looking at other creators, content providers on YouTube. Some of them use music, some don't. So I don't know what. I can't make everybody happy. Realize that. Adding music does take more time, though it's not a huge amount of time added to the editing process, but it does take more time. I don't mind doing it. Personally, I like it myself, so that's why I've been doing it. I don't know if that's a universal opinion, but I would be interested in your feedback on that. So leave me a comment about that. Let me know what you think. not going to say I'm going to abide by the majority opinion or anything like that. I may still, you know, I'm going to do what I think is best. It is my channel after all. But you know, I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing these videos for you guys. It does take a lot of extra time to move the camera around and try to get it focused, and it's almost always in my way. And for me, it's been a challenge because I'm a pretty impatient person by nature. Moving the camera around interrupts my workflow to some extent. And the way I think about these videos is I'm out here working anyway. So the only thing I'm doing is moving the camera around to record what I'm doing. So I'd be out here doing this whether I was making the videos or not. I'm not doing it to make the video. I'm just making a video because I'm doing it, right? That's what it is. And I'm out here in the shop probably, you know, I'm out here almost every day for something, not always working on this project. Probably 4 or 5 days a week, you know, I'll be out here spending anywhere from, you know, an hour to 3 or 4 hours some days. And so what you're seeing is 15, 16 hours of video condensed to, you know, under an hour, 30, 40, 50 minutes. And it's what I'm working on. There's other stuff I'm doing. This is the day, 2 days after Thanksgiving. The holidays are coming. It's going to be pretty busy around here with Christmas coming. I do expect to keep up the content throughout the time period. So you'll see this video in mid-January. So I'm running six videos in post-production, you know, after the content is recorded. So, all right, that's a little behind-the-scenes info for what it's worth. Okay, so we got the mast fitted behind the tractor, made a template for the support frame, which is really a reinforcement for the tractor frame as well as a support for the mast, and mark that. So we'll come back next week cutting that out of 3/8 inch steel. It's 48 inches long and most of it's about 6 inches. I need to model it in Fusion, and I'll do that between now and then. And the one thing I haven't factored in yet is the piece of that frame which needs to come up here through this opening beside the dash so it can support the tilt cylinders, which will run from approximately here up to the mast. So I will need to cut the frame again here to make clearance so I can slide this reinforcement plate back through here, since this is in the way. Either cut it out or probably remove the whole piece. If I need to replace it, I'll cut another piece of steel and we'll bolt it in there as a you know, replacement later. That'll stabilize the rear of the fenders, though they're pretty sturdy. I'm not sure it's needed, but we'll look at it and see if we need to add that. Want to be able to take it out. Need to be able to disassemble this beast as well. So that's it, since I've kind of run out of time, but we've made a lot of progress on the mast this week, and we'll come back next week and keep working on, hopefully the hydraulic cylinder and the forks will be here. I do have a twin spool hydraulic valve coming that will operate the mast, lift, and the tilt functions. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. A thumbs up, a like, share, that kind of stuff. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time.